Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu Merfolk Master, and we are here with day 104 of Coffee and MTG. And we'll just get right back into it where we left off. I had a bit of a mishap. Nobody saw that. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. It was an accident. Yeah, it's the restart of the Nikachu MTG show. That's right. Hello again. Now Satamane is first. Ugly Hood Rat, you had a second chance. You had a second chance. It didn't work out. Dr. Cyborg, good morning. Good morning to you as well. So, I don't know what to discuss today. So, like, yeah, there's the flicker. Whoops, where's my screen? Where is my screen today? So this flicker focus something. I'm not going to be playing this in the Mana Traders series. I'm going to be playing my traditional blue-green Simic Merfolk deck. Oh, by the way, I am qualified for the Mana Trader series this Saturday. There's some good chance that I will be streaming it, but I'll be streaming it with the what's it called? Chubby Meatball blocker, so nobody can stream snipe me during the event. That's going to be very important. I'm curious, how does Mana Traders verify my deck is my deck? I guess they just hope, and if there's any inconsistency, they'll nail me. I only have 2 Smuggler's Copters in my deck. If 3 are found in my graveyard, I'm going to instantly disqualify me. So I'm going to be playing my Simic Merfolk deck without any Zendikar Rising upgrades going into the Mana Trader series, and hopefully that's going to be good enough. Are there any artifacts we could take advantage of with Ghostly Flicker? Sort of. You can reset your Ether Vial. Like, there is a world where you take your Vial up to 5 to get Umara Mystic, which is at 5 mana in play. And then later on, let's say you Vial in your Umara Wizard, then you top deck Ghostly Flicker. You could flicker the Ether Vial to reset it, basically. Mike the Mailman, whew, made it just in time. The Squad Chief video you retweeted about good decks was an interesting watch. Yeah, it was good. I would love to add to that, because one thing, so like what makes a good deck in Modern, and one thing, I mean, there's probably a few other points that could be added. Like, one thing is free wins. Like, free wins, like the top decks generally have free wins. Dredge, for example, has free wins when that deck is well positioned. It just crushes everybody, and that's why people would gravitate to a deck like that. So it was a really good way of starting the conversation, though, about what makes a good deck, and I really liked it. It was a great video. But like, yeah, the qualities of what makes good decks or competitive decks in Modern. One way he mentioned. Jund decks or 50-50 decks. I could definitely say that Merfolk is a 50-50 deck. We have a bit of game against everything. We don't necessarily get completely hosed by any particular archetype. Not anymore, at least. Back in those Lantern Control days, it wasn't easy. It was pretty tough. It was pretty tough back then. Fortunately, those days are gone. And you know what? If Lantern Control came back tomorrow, I would be a lot less fearful now that we have access to Collector Oof and Brazen Borrower and Forced Negation. I'd fucking laugh at that deck now. Where I'd have a higher win percentage than 5%. I'll give it that. I will have a way higher win percentage than 5%. Maybe we will play tomorrow, Cactus of Vishmak. And I'm sure Laplacian's also in the series. Hey, do you know how Laplacian ended? Like, what was his win rate? Just curious. How well did Devoted Devastation do in a field of Bogles and stuff like that? What? How did he not qualify? Or like, 'cause he can grind up to 30 matches if he wants, unless he just tried 4 and then gave up. He got free win off of me. Laplacian, you beat me. Losing that one damn game forced me to play like another 10 games to qualify. You played 300 matches? Are you serious? What happened to Devoted Devastation? Well, like, what did he lose to? I don't understand. With Ponza, E-Tron, and Druid. Oh, he tried all 3 of them? Because you can swap the decks in and out when you're qualifying for the Mana Trader series. So if anyone doesn't know, Laplacian is formerly Counters Company Master, moved to Eldrazi Tron Master, moved back to Devoted Devastation Master, basically Counters Company. Top 8ing a lot of MTG top 8, modern challenges, and doing incredibly well with the archetype. So I guess he tried a lot of different things. He should have just stuck to Druid. Should have just stuck to Druid. Shambly, good morning. Good morning, Shambly. Oh, I got to take a delicious sip of my coffee. We've been brewing some Magic discussion. Now we got to get to the coffee. So for the Merfolk players out there, we can talk a little bit more about Mirror Pool. Oops, not Mirror Pool. No, it's Glass Pool. So like I said, I registered my deck already for the Mana Trader series, but if there was a version of Merfolk I wish I could have a little bit more practice with, I would have loved to have practiced just the mono blue version that I had playing Glass Pool Mimic. Maybe I can find that list. You can stare at me, wonderful me, while I look for it. Because why do I not show up so easily for Twitter? Because the deal is like the list is still pretty clean. Oh, where am I? Glasspool Mimic is pretty amazing. It's pretty good. Here I found the list. So this is what I played to a 5-0 finish. Oh, but not. I'm gonna repeat again. Not the cleanest 5-0. My opponents helped me a little bit, but this is definitely a list I would prefer to play test a little bit more to see where it goes. Glasspool Mimic in combination of Mirror Regery is like, it's amazing. Glasspool Mimic. Like, here's the thing. Mirror Regery is clunky in Merfolk because getting to that third land is difficult. But when you have Glasspool Mimic in your deck, you are more likely to get Regery on curve. And also, Regery is just a great target for copying, putting a lot of lords onto the battlefield and smashing face. So if there was one list I would like to playtest a little bit more, it would be this one. Aside from that, I'll be playing the Zendikar. I'll be playing the Mana Trader series without any Zendikar Rising upgrades. Has anyone else been playing with Zendikar Rising upgrades? A lot of stuff out there. Good morning, Kyoka 620. I qualified on the first try. Congratulations. So did you go for the leaderboard? So I can get let's talk about Mana Traders. Let's get Mana Traders. For anyone who's not familiar with the series, they have like a monthly Mana Traders series. So let's go to the Mana Traders site. Oh, I need to, again, change ourselves to the Magic channel. It's fine. Easy. So at the top here, it says, top middle, it says Mana Trader series. You click that button and boom, you're in the Mana Trader series. It's free for anyone to play. So the qualifying rounds this month are closed, but they'll have it again next month. They seem to have it every single month. They have $15,000 US dollars being paid out, free entry. But the thing is, if you do not have a Mana Traders account, you will get 1/10 the prizes. But if you have a Mana Traders account, you get 10x prize multiplier for all Mana Traders users. Different format every month. So far, it's been only Legacy and Modern. Maybe they'll have Pioneer one month. Who knows? And so basically, they give you like 2 weeks to play the qualifier rounds. You need to have like a 66%. You need a 70% win percentage over 10 games, or up to 20 games. You need to have a 66% win percentage, and then up to 30 matches, you need to have 60%. And look at these prizes. Like, these are pretty decent looking prizes. So in the qualifier rounds, if you're in the top 20 of the people qualifying, you can earn $1,000. I'm not in the top 20 because I got screwed by Laplacian very early on. So he crushed my win rate and crushed my dreams of winning this $1,000. But I've got my eyes set on the full tournament prize pool that's going to happen this Saturday, which I'll probably stream. So if you ended up, or this is just Mana Traders credit, that's fine. So if I get into the top 16, I get $100. 300 for top 8. It gets really it put the prize pool really top heavy. $1,000 for top 4, 2,000 for second place, 4,000 for first place. So it's pretty nice. And even if you have no account, like it's $400 for first place. That's not a bad free roll. So anyway, the Mana Trader series. This is the first series I'm qualified for. I did it. I'm gonna play. It's gonna happen. Starbucks, 3 shots. Let's go. Oh yeah, get the Starbucks coffee running. You know, this is Coffee and MTG. We could have a little conversation about the coffee for once. What is your preference for coffee? Where do you buy your coffee from, or how do you make your coffee at home? So, if I'm at home, I'm drinking Nescafe dark roast. Not going to mention your name very often, Nescafe. You had the chance for sponsorship. You turned me down, and well, let's just say I wish Mana Traders offered coffee, because I think I would make them very I think I would make them very happy for them being my sponsor. But so anyway, I get that. And then if I go out, generally I'm buying McDonald's coffee. If I go out, I'm pretty cheap with coffee, to be honest. I just wanted to do the job. I wanted to keep my brain awake. But if I really want gourmet coffee, I'll go to Starbucks. But I don't go to Starbucks often. That's not something I regularly do. $5 for a thing of coffee? Screw it. Screw that. Even when I usually go to Starbucks, I'll ask for their, what's it called? The Seattle's Best Roast or whatever. It's like their cheap version of their coffee. If I want their dirt cheap coffee, give me your Seattle's Best. I know the tricks. I know you got the Seattle's Best back there. Don't give me the overpriced stuff. Zendikar Rising cards I've been playing with have worked out well, especially Agadim's Awakening. I'm sure you can play with a lot of them because you're in Standard. Oh, no, sorry. I'm thinking of Ugly Hood Rat. I've been playing Blue-Black Control in Pioneer, and I dig the pathways. The pathways are pretty good, the blue-black one. I will be playing with the latest list when I have some time to hammer out some games. And do you think Zendikar Rising cards will just slot in the best decks and that's it, or is there some meta shift? There might be a meta shift. Like, there are new archetypes already being invented out of this. We now have a Rakdos Shadow, like we have a Rakdos Prowess / Shadow deck that has emerged. I mean, it takes maybe 2 different archetypes and jams them together, but it's a pretty unique archetype by itself, and it's running now the Scourge of the Conclaves. Do I got that name right? Scourge of something. Well, I think it's something. Scourge of the Sun. Hold on. What if I look up Scourge? Skyclaves. So this is a new Death Shadow card. That's created a new archetype. Goblin. We now have Goblin Charbelcher that has transformed into the what is it? City Informer. I wanted to say it was Underworld City Informer, but I thought that was wrong. Then we have the Charbelcher deck, which is now transformed into the Undercity Informer deck that sideboards into the Charbelcher plan, because this is just a better win condition that's way harder for players to interact with. You can't use removal, you can't use force negation. Anyway, so Undercity Informer is the new win condition in the Charbelcher deck. That's created like a new archetype. We might see a further shift in the Uro control decks, turning into even more of a ramp strategy with Omnath. Like, when the control players were crying and going, boo-hoo, our control deck is like a ramp deck. That's not control. No, that's a lie. You're still a control deck. But now with Omnath being jammed into the deck, they're watering down more of their actual control package, and I could admit that this now is actually turning into like some sort of ramp, more of a ramp deck than anything else. Or like this doesn't ramp, but it takes good advantage of a ramp strategy because you get extra lands in play. So we got there might be a meta shift out of this. So like, pending how everything shakes out, we could have a completely new metagame. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I don't drink coffee. I prefer to drink Korean ginseng tea. That's actually sweet stuff as well. Pour over is the best, 100% super smooth. Espresso or bust. So you don't put it in coffee or anything like that. Just take it as a shot. Gotta get your shot of espresso. You need to grind it fresh. Phil. Don't know who you're referring to, but okay. Agree on pour over. I grind. Phil's. I grind fresh coffee every day. Starbucks is my go-to to going out coffee. You grind the coffee every single day, like you put it in the blender and you go bring. I couldn't do that. I don't know. Maybe that's a way of waking me up in the morning. I think that's a bit loud in my opinion. Fresh ground beans over in a Hario. Pour over for sure. Oh, sick dude. Mickey D's coffee. Hey, I need the cheap stuff. I need the cheap, effective stuff. And McDonald's will do that. You hear that, McDonald's? Are you going to please sponsor me, McDonald's? Do it. I could be the first MTG player that gets sponsored by a coffee, some sort of fast food brand. There's a local coffee shop in my city that roasts fresh coffee every day. That stuff in an espresso cooker. All right. I'm quite boring. I only drink coffee when I desperately need to stay awake. Always black with milk or half and half. Phil's is so good. Best coffee I've ever had. If I had the money, fresh ground, kick-ass brand coffee done with pour over. I mean, if I had the money, I would just go to Starbucks every day. But, you know, I'll be broke. Just absolutely broke. Hot takes, Nikachu. That's right. My hot take. McDonald's coffee is underrated. And the expensive coffee is overrated. The green-white pathway has helped ban spirits for historic a bit. Yeah, I imagine for both Pioneer and Historic, these dual lands have helped a lot. And Simic Merfolk, of course, is still waiting for the Simic land to show up, which we do not have yet. So any new thoughts on Confounding Conundrum? None. This card might have been a complete bust. Oh, well, we gotta wait. I don't know what the best deck, like the best shell for this deck is. But at the moment, the decks that want to play this... Actually, I mean, the card looks like it's relatively well positioned. But anyway, this card was a bust. There are other factors to consider. For example... if a deck is pretty mana efficient, then they may not need many lands in play in the first place. Like if I'm up against Prowess, they only need like 3 lands, maybe 2, and they can live off of that. Or they can have 2 lands in play. They can play their third one. If you bounce it back to their hand, they're like, whatever, who cares? I'll just replay it for my land for the turn. Next turn, it won't matter. So, and they get to choose what land goes into their hand. So it could have been a tapped land anyway. But anyway, nothing found for this. And the card that really is seeing play is Cleansing Wildfire. Again, this is just more to the point and can be played in generally any blue deck. A lot of blue decks can easily splash red to run this thing, and is just more impactful. I mean, you get to target the land that you blow up. You still draw a card. Anyway, Cleansing Wildfire. Cleansing Wildfire is the winner. Confounding Conundrum doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for Confounding Conundrum at the moment. Kick-ass coffee is good stuff. Oh, Shambly getting ahead of the game here. Well, I am Italian, so espresso is the way. Yes, sir. Quick magic bullet grind. Actually, I have a magic bullet too, but we don't use it anymore. Ever since we went the instant coffee way, but the name brand that I'm not going to name very often here. Green tea is also... I'm a huge green tea fan. I drink a lot of green tea myself. They make coffee machines with a grinder built in. Really? Now that I haven't heard of, and I would be interested. Is it like more expensive or on par with like other coffee machines? I had no idea. I mean, I'm not a master of coffee machines. You know, I just know what I've seen, but I've never seen one with the grinder built in. That sounds actually very impressive. That was a nice blender impression. I would know. I heard that annoying sound enough times. I heard Tim Hortons is the best. You know, if you drink Tim Hortons for the first time, you will feel some sort of buzz that you've never felt before in another coffee, and it's pretty unique. But after you drink that coffee for like 10 years, you're like, you know what, I'm tired of this crap, and it's not really doing anything for me anymore. So that's my take on Tim Hortons. I mean, it's probably like anything. Like if you drink anything for like 10 years straight, you'll be like, you know what, this sucks now. I need something else. So, you know, the McDonald's coffee now gives me a bit of a high that I can't get from Tim Hortons anymore. Maybe in 10 more years, I'll go back to Tim Hortons. I mean, nothing against Tim Hortons as well, but like their food menu has like collapsed, and I can't. Maybe the quality of their bean has also like downgraded since then. Tim Hortons food was like very good 15 years ago, and now it sucks. I will really go out of my way to not eat at Tim Hortons if I can. What is the take? That take is burn your thighs hot. I don't even know what I said anymore. Modern feels like legacy because of counterspell battles. Force negation feels like force of will. But we need it. Like, we really need force of will. If we don't have force of will, this deck will take over badly. I think force of negation came at just the right time. Maybe we could have used it a little bit earlier. Like, imagine force of negation during the Krark Clan Ironworks era. Krark Clan Ironworks might be safe to unban. Like, we've got like a lot of good tools against artifacts now. You know, between like Collector Oof and Force of Negation and what else? There's is it Force of Vigor? Oops. What's the destroy 2 enchantment? Yeah, well, this might be like iffy against Krark Clan Ironworks because they can recur, they can get artifacts back from their graveyard. But I mean, we've got a lot of new tools at our disposal that Krark Clan Ironworks won't like steamroll everyone like it used to. But I think Force Negation came at just the right time to like deal with this stupid deck, because this became a deck. And make no mistake, this would just have fucked Modern badly if there was nothing in place to deal with it. But we have the answers. We've got the answers. We have good quality counter spells, in my opinion. Hot take: get yourself a proper coffee mill. A mill? Like the actual factory that produces the coffee. Sweet EDH card. I think in reference to the Omnath. Looks like we got to send him pour over kit for him to use at home. Don't be savage, Nikachu. Mickey D's coffee is not meant for human consumption. It's for truckers or something. Well, you can't give me like a pour over kit. Like the reason I'm drinking McDonald's coffee is because I'm out and I don't have access to my coffee at home. Otherwise, I would just drink the instant coffee that I make at home anyway. Pour over is the way to go. Well, I can't use pour over if I'm out already, though. Oh god, instant coffee. What's wrong with Canada? It's not what's wrong with Canada. It's what's wrong with me. Jura machines for Swiss quality. KCI was a fun deck to watch. Was it? I thought it was terrible to watch, even though I never understood what was going on. Exactly. That's why it was terrible to watch. It was just brutal. I mean, if you like that sort of if you like one human being on one side of the table moving stuff around constantly, maybe it's interesting to watch. But you know, I like to follow the game, and honestly, I can't even follow what's going on in KCI most of the time, because whenever I play it online, if I can't interact with my opponent, just like F6, pass the turn, go read I go read a book, I shuffle some cards in my hand, I check the time, I go look at my YouTube comments on my phone. I don't pay attention to the game, so I don't actually learn how the deck operates. I got 5 on Nika coffee care package. Friends don't let friends drink instant coffee. I'd love Force of Will in Modern, but I don't think any other decks will like it. Well, apparently a lot of decks don't even like Force of Negation in the format. Although they're all combo players, like, so screw them. Like, if you're a combo player and you don't like the entire point of your deck is to basically just play by yourself and not really interact with the opponent. I'm not going to say that for all combo decks. There's a lot of combo decks out there that have interaction. I could say there's a little bit of interaction, and in fact, there's actually interaction, quite a bit of interaction, too much interaction, I would say, in Dredge. But like, there's a lot of generally you're playing the deck because you want to make it one-sided. So we need the proper interaction for them. There was a debate at my local game store for a few weeks, and everyone pretty much said no way to Force of Will. I would have preferred Force of Will for sure, but I'll take Force of Negation. You know, take whatever Wizards gives me. Wasn't KCI banned also because it was weird with the rules, kind of like Second Sunrise? I don't think Second Sunrise was banned for rules. Well, KCI was banned for rules. Eggs was banned because it was bad for tournaments. It extended the time after time was called to like 15-20 more minutes beyond what they were reasonably comfortable with in tournaments. So while it wasn't against the rules, it was just, practically speaking, a really shitty deck to run tournaments with. So they banned it specifically for that reason. But KCI did have a weird rules interaction with how it added mana on the stack and how you could cast cards. So in addition to being a really busted deck, they banned that card. They banned the deck, or they banned the card, which essentially banned the deck. Truckers drink coffee from gas stations. Hey, you know what? In Europe, the coffee from the gas station is pretty good. In the United States and Canada, and maybe the Europeans can, you know, back me up on this. At least I thought the coffee in Europe was damn good. It was very, very good. The coffee in America and Canada at a gas station is garbage. It's just pure trash. I don't know. I would love to hear an opinion from the European crowd about that, though. With Opal ban, KCI is really nerfed. It is, actually. I forgot about that. They don't even have that for themselves. Really do hope Standard gets an overhaul on Monday. Oh yeah, but did they genuinely give an announcement that they're changing something? Can anyone give me a source? Everyone's talking as if there's going to be a big change on Monday, but I didn't see a tweet or any announcement that suggests that they are actually going to do something. There was an announcement that they're paying attention to the format and they hope to not change anything, but they didn't say that like anything's going to happen. So if anyone has a source to this, I would love to hear it, because everyone's talking and chatting as if there's going to be a change. There's definitely a BNR announcement on Monday, but like I never saw a source about this. Remember that time someone literally F6'd at our in real life tournament? Yes. Well, I mean, maybe this happened more than once, but I remember Brian Kibler against Eggs. He was playing like Naya Zoo or something like that. Clearly had nothing else to do for the turn, just wrote on a piece of paper F6, and I don't know, he went to the washroom or something. KCI and Second Sunrise unbanned, the dream. I prefer Days over Force of Will. I don't think it's as strong. I was actually looking for Force of Will in Modern, but I think Force of Negation is fine and fits better than what I wanted with Force of Will. Maybe make it discard 2 cards to be free on your turn. The worst part of Force of Negation is that all the other cards in the cycle got named Force of instead of being references to the other cards in the Ice Age cycle. The names could even have worked: Scars, Virtue, Anger, Kinesis. Coffee is so weak in the US to a Swedish person, at least. Eggs was hilarious. Legendary Brian Kibler F6'd against it. Yes, I remember this. Does MTG have an image problem with its players not looking after themselves, like doing things like basic grooming? Well, maybe within the MTG community. I think less so on image. I've heard like there's way more talk about like body odor and stuff like that, and I would say there was not like it's in my opinion, there's not really big of an image problem, but it's much heavier on the BO problem, like, you know, because if you're in a crowd, if anyone's been to a very crowded event, it can stink horribly. It's just full of, and like even if everyone was properly took proper hygiene of themselves, it can still smell, but it just gets compounded much worse if nobody is taking proper hygiene, like taking the proper I don't want to say steps, but taking care of themselves. Thoughts on disrupting Shoal? Too expensive. Too expensive. It's like okay, but you'd like the format needs to be really low on CMC in order for it to really work. Because and your deck has to be like for example, let's see, let's get Disrupting Shoal. I've played with this card before. So the deal is you need to have the meta game needs to be really low on CMC, and you also need to have enough low on CMC cards so that you basically can turn it into a force of will. The problem is there's this the CMCs in Modern vary like way too much, and to be able to connect your 3-drops with their 3-drop spell, their 4-drop with your 4-drop spell, it's hard. Now the bonus is that this Disrupting Shoal, you can pay the X sometimes. Counter target spell is converted mana cost is X. So you can, as the game goes long, you can just turn it into a random counter spell, and that happened to me a lot. Happened even more often, where I would just pay double blue X to counter their spell, and then situationally I would be able to nab like an early spell with it. But aside from that, I think it's just unreliable. So the metagame has to be in a really good spot, and your deck has to be in a really good spot for to use it. Yeah, but you can counter. Disrupting Shoal is just too inferior to Force and Negation. For the most part, yeah. I mean, it just is. It just is. But like countering creatures is beneficial. So one thing Force and Negation cannot do. Providing an update to the format and avoiding disruption to events definitely sounds... okay, hold on. So Lord Magicus has a source. We're closely monitoring developments in Standard in order to avoid disrupting this weekend's tournaments. We intend to provide an update on the format early next week. Okay, but this could also mean... I think this also can mean they could do nothing. They might do something. They might do something, they might not do anything. They're going to give an update. There's a chance. Okay, I'll give it this. You have a chance, but this is not their prior announcements where doing nothing wouldn't disrupt this the events this weekend. Oh, okay. Do you know what? I got it. Yeah, you know what? I'm just not reading it properly, and they could have been more clear with their wording. But okay, I get it. So they were going to do something, but it would have disrupted this weekend's events. So they are actually changing. Okay, I'm sold. Okay, we're getting an update here, but likely only in Standard. Well, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they'll throw in a Modern update or something. We can never know. But I think Modern is like changing anything right now is a bit stupid. Okay, so I agree. So everyone who is acting as if there is going to be a ban next week, I think it's justified. It's definitely justified. All right, let's move into Decklist review. We do deck reviews on this channel, so if you want to be part of the pool, so you want to have the chance of getting selected randomly, ! Deck review space, give the URL to your deck list. Also leave any comments. What is the format? Are you on a budget? What decks do you need help against? Blah, blah, blah. The usual suspects. And as we wait for all those decks to get submitted, we're going to thank our sponsors, starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online and the Deal of the Week. My favorite local game store, by the way. Buy all my cards from Fusion. The deal of the week, save up to 15% off all Secret Lair single box sets. New deal of the week every week. So this is Friday, so this is the last you can get this deal on the box sets. It'll be something else next week. And we're also going to thank Mana Traders. Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online, which also helps you get 10x your prize pool in the Mana Traders series. And you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or you can get 20% off your first 3 months using my coupon code Nikachu. But I have an announcement here that 20% off is going to change to 15% in October on October 1st, which is annoying because I got this graphic here for so many videos. I can change the description in my YouTube videos to 15%, but I can't change the actual video graphic in my videos. So if you want to take advantage of 20% off your first 3 months, and they'll honor the 20% for the next 3 months, you got to get the in on that before October 1st. After October 1st, the coupon code Nikachu will only give you 15% off. So just a heads up. I got word from Mana Traders that they're changing their coupon code value. So just letting you all know. I miss Modern. Fusion needs to do a Magic the Gathering Online 5K. Yes, they could. They should do that. That would be interesting. I think they are intentionally being obscure in their wording. Could be a point. Like, confuse me. They got me. I feel like I'm a little bit above average. Well, maybe I'm not that above average in reading. There is a Red Bull tournament, so decks are being submitted. Okay. All right, so while we wait for you can always submit it anytime. You can submit your deck list anytime you want. Show it again, deck deck review space URL, and then the comments. But I'll start picking them out. Chambly's deck list has been chosen. Brief description for Modern, and I know this channel is pretty anti-control, so I'd appreciate knowing how you would beat it, so I can close the gaps and fix numbers. Well, I wouldn't say the channel's anti-control. I just I make one video sort of bashing control, and then everyone's like, "Oh, this is anti-control. This is an anti-control channel." All right, what do we got here? We have some sort of control deck. Let's look at the 4-color Uro pile with Omnath with even more value. Control with board with Planeswalkers and counter along the way while ramping and gaining life. Field of the Dead and Oboro, Palace in the Clouds will keep you hitting well in the long game. Uro and fetch lands can trigger Omnath even to mode 3 for damage and can get past Ensnaring Bridge and Ley Line of Sanctity. Turn 5 Omnath, draw into fetch land, gain 4 and 4 mana, and casting Teferi, Hour of Promise. The same turn is pretty nuts. Sideboard, trying Cleansing Wildfire to deal with Tron variants and Blessing against all the new mill decks. Can put Blessing back on top with Mystic if we get milled. So you've got... I didn't know Control had a problem with mill. That's interesting. So you got the one guy's Blessing. Poor mill. Like, they get a little momentum, and then all of a sudden, it just takes one sideboard card to screw them over. When God's Blessing is put into your graveyard from the library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. They have to go on the beatdown plan, I guess. They got to go on the beatdown plan. I mean, they can surgical this, but hopefully they get it really early, because it will still trigger. Like, this thing will still trigger. So you can surgical the card, but they'll still dump the rest of the deck in their their graveyard into their library. 2 Field of Ruin, 2 Field of the Dead. I don't know if there's going to be much I can say about this deck, because you're doing exactly what all the other Uro decks are doing. All the other Uro decks are trying to do the same thing. 4 Path to Exile, 1 Spell Snare, 2 Ether Gust. In the main deck, like, that's a reasonable card to put. That's a pretty reasonable meta call. There are not a lot of cards that are... Sorry, there's not a lot of decks that are dead to this. Except maybe Death and Taxes. I mean, there's not a lot of decks where this card is going to be dead. Growth Spiral, Mana Leak, 1 Remand, Force Negation, Cryptic Command, Ren and 6 Teferi, Jace, Hero of Domination. I mean, this is like Honestly, this looks like exactly what I've been playing against right now in the metagame. Snapcaster Mage, 4 Uro, 2 Omnath. Condemn, 2 Veil of Summer. There's absolutely nothing. So hold on, what was the extra comments? I'd appreciate knowing how you would beat it so I can close. Shambly, what are you asking me? You want me to tell you how to beat Control? How would I beat it? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, first thing I would do to beat the... Okay, so I'll tell you one of my number one card to beating these Uro decks, usually. I don't know if it's going to be this. It's going to be the same way with Omnath now in the deck, but prior to Omnath, one Relic of Progenitus usually crushed this deck, honestly. That's all it took, was one Relic of Progenitus. Now, I did face a Omnath player recently that brought in Stony Silence against me, and it was brutal. It was pretty brutal, because not only did Stony Silence turn off my Relic of Progenitus, it also turned off my Ether Vials, and then I ended up siding out almost all my artifacts after that. But usually one Relic hurts this deck by quite a bit, because like Relics interact with your Mystic Sanctuary, so I wipe the graveyard whenever you try to grab something. It interacts with Red Insects, so you don't have any lands to actually get and keep ramping, and also interacts with just Uro. I mean, if you can't escape Uro, then you're in trouble. Now, another thing, I mean, I also just attack with Island Walk creatures, which is a problem for this deck. But I guess the only thing I have, and Humans is adopting this now, is Relic of Progenitus. So, if Mill becomes dominant in the format, we should start putting Narcomoebas and Prize Amalgams in the main. That is some level. Yeah, let's take out the Force Negations, the Spreading Seizes, and we're going to continue to jam games until we face enough Mill decks that interaction actually pulls off. Oh, you make me feel like doing that. Like, just play the super janky thing just to hope to play against Mill and hope that they like mill our cards, and then find out we're like more than just a Merfolk deck. We're a Dimir Dredge deck as well. So yeah, deck looks super clean for the most part. So how I beat it with Relic of Progenitus. That's how I beat it. I beat it with Relic of Progenitus. Your best bet probably... Oh, also Collector Oof interacts pretty well. That also works. Collector Oof will work. But anyway, that's what I do. I hope that's helpful. I don't know what other decks do, but that's what I do. I'm pretty heavy on. I'm pretty happy about playing Relic and then just destroying these decks. And also, Ether File probably also helps. So somewhere between Collector Oof, which you can run and doesn't hurt your deck by much. I think you only have an Engineered Explosives. So like Artifact Hate doesn't hurt you too much. Anyway, that's what I would do. Good luck with the list. Okay, moving on. No deck list left to review. All right, deck list review is going to be short today. We can go back to the discussion. We should address the elephant in the room. We might be considering the possibility of a slight problem in the standard metagame and are looking at options to potentially answer any perceived issues if found. Well, I mean, they put a bunch of landfall mechanics in. Like, Omnath looked like a jank. Like we can go back to Omnath. Let's go back to Omnath. You know, like cards like this during spoiler season, I never even read it. I just look at red, green, white, blue, and the casting cost, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to read this. This is stupid. What's even the point? No one's going to play this. But you know what? If the payoff is strong enough, of course people will pay it. So, I mean, it's free to play because you draw a card. So there's no cost actually trying to play this card. You're going to play it. You're going to draw a card. It replaces itself. Fantastic. And then the landfall is not... Let's not kid ourselves. This landfall thing is not even hard to trigger. So first off, I think the second landfall... I don't even know how you balance this. It should have been like... Whenever the second... I don't know. The first landfall gives you almost nothing. I think it should give you like nothing. The second landfall maybe deals damage to the opponents, and then the third landfall gives you the mana. I think getting, or I don't know how to put this. I want to push it to a, maybe landfall you get nothing. Second landfall you get the life. Third landfall you get the mana. Fourth landfall you get the damage. Because this is too easy to activate. You know, play a fetch land, crack it, get access to 4 mana out of nowhere. What, are you fucking kidding me? That's stupid. Like, you know, fetch lands are a thing. So basically every fetch land adds 5 mana. Really? Is that what we're doing now? So anyway, if I took the time and stopped and looked and read this card, I could realize that this is pretty busted. But I mean, myself, like a lot of other players, a lot of people analyzing what was going to break into Modern, never even looked at this card. And of course, if this can see Modern play, it's definitely going to see Standard play. And the mana is pretty free right now. I mean, it's 4 mana is not very difficult. So this is a pretty stupid. This is a pretty stupid card. Oh, Squad Chief's got a deck to review. All right, let's go check out Squad Chief's deck. Oops. It's probably a meme deck. Well, it's just should Uro be banned in Modern? Pros and cons. See some self-promotion here. Whoops. Coffee. How long is this video? Let's go check this out.
From pre-production to final cut.
Everyone gets to see the site's sort of ads, I see.
Hello, welcome back to another cheap call.
This is too long. I thought it was going to be short. I know, I understand it was a meme, but it might have been like, I thought it was going to be something like 5 seconds long. Should Uro be banned in Modern? And you just said something like yes or something. Remember when Kolaghan's Command was considered a super value spell? Yeah, I know. Those were the days. But those were a super. It wasn't a value. It was more. Well, it was partial value because you can bring, like, you know, creature cards from your graveyard. But it was a super attrition spell as well. So you got both. You get both sides of that. Yeah. Why does everything have to draw a card? Everything draws a card. I think Fabled Passage is busted. Well, and also wasn't Croaky said like Fabled Passage should be banned, or Fabled Passage was a mistake. I can't remember. He made a tweet, something along the lines of that. Oh, David subscribed for 2 months in a row. Thank you very much, David. Thanks for supporting the channel and supporting Coffee Talk. Why did Wizards of the Coast send Mill from tier 2.5 to tier 1? It should never have been better than tier 2. I actually think Wizards of the Coast legitimately took Mill from tier 3 to tier 2. I mean, it will be situationally tier 1 because, like, so Mill will be this deck from now on. Let me find what's like the Mill card right now. The crab. Here's the new card that they got. So I think legitimately Mill is now a deck that if you're gonna forget about it, it's going to come in and crush the tournament. That's my impression of this deck. If you forget about Mill, it can come in and then wipe everyone away. But I think the hate cards against Mill are real, and I don't think they have a lot to do about it right now, unless they could have a really good transformational sideboard plan where your guy's blessing doesn't mean anything anymore. Because all it takes, like, some people are serious about just putting a Kozilek in their deck. And by the way, this is not that bad of a card. Like, I think I saw some control decks playing a singleton of this. When Kozilek Butcher of Truth is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles their graveyard into their library. And it's not that bad. I mean, you cast the spell, you draw 4 cards. What else does control doesn't want to do anything else? They're going to have 10 mana in play in the long run against many archetypes. So, I mean, seems reasonable just to splash. So, I mean, Mill can get hated out pretty easily. But do you always want to have this Kozilek Butchers and Truth in your deck? Do you always want to have? I don't think so. I don't think you always want to have Kozilek in your deck. That's a little bit awkward, in my opinion. Same thing with the guy's blessing. There's going to be situations where you're like, I haven't seen Mill for like 2 weeks. I really need this 15th sideboard slot. So if anyone, I think we looked up guy's blessing. So it's like target player. Anyway, you can draw a card when you cast it, but whenever it's put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. So that's the anti-mill card. Anti-mill came out in reprinted in Dominaria. Reprinted in Dominaria. Yeah, it's not tier 1. Silvergill draws a card. I don't see you complaining about that. I don't. I could use more of those cards. You know, like Control now has more creatures that draw a card upon ETB than Merfolk has. I was overjoyed to not have to shuffle my Pioneer deck 45 times a game, and then they immediately printed a bloody fetch land. That's right. They did that. They did that to us. And they made it the only fetch land, which means everybody needs that fetch land if they need it. You know? Instead of people fighting over 10 different fetch lands, you know, everyone has to fight over that one fetch land. But maybe that's their point. They can easily just reprint that one fetch land over and over. Maybe that's their plan. Mill is like us, or maybe more like Dredge. It is good if the opponent is not prepared. Well, the thing about Dredge is sometimes it's good even when the opponent is prepared. Like Mill is really hosed by one card, but Dredge has a lot of answers even to people's answers. How many times have I played Grafdigger's Cage and Sodek just Nature's Claim the damn thing? Just play a Past in Flames deck. Mill is the new Dredge, except they don't want to face against each other. Or I don't know who. I gotta ask Sodek, like, how does he feel about playing against Mill? Because I could see it in two ways. First, it might help Dredge a lot because you get all your creatures in play, right? And you get all your creeping chill. You might get all your creeping chills because if a creeping chill hits the graveyard, I'm certain the first thing the Mill player will do is surgical extract it. But the other thing is that it's possible they'll just wipe the entire graveyard super fast. Because, like, Dredge already puts all their cards in their graveyard, like half their deck into the graveyard. And then Mill will be like, okay, I'll just mill the rest of the cards now. Now you have 0 cards. You draw a card for your turn, and then you're dead. Just take your Vial to 11. It's as simple as that. I definitely wouldn't mind Fabled Passage reprinted to Oblivion. That's going to be, well, it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be Wizard's strategy. They already printed it prematurely, like within a year of it getting printed. It was sort of that was very unexpected. But like they're letting the fetch lands be as expensive as they want, but Fable Passage for some reason. Well, how expensive is Fable Passage right now? Is it like a fetch land price? No, it's like $7. We got we have a lot of versions, tons of promos. Take your pick. Tons of Fabled Passage. The most premium one is about $10. Throne of Eldraine. Immediately gets reprinted a year later in M21. Okay, Hot Chocolate, you got a deck list to be reviewed. We'll quickly do this and then deck list review. Oops, deck review pick. I have gone 0-5. What the hell? 0-5 versus what? With this deck list? Oh, you're playing the new Hotness with the Ghostly Flicker here? Hold on. No, I'm not actually showing anybody this. This is simply the Bishark's list, right? Card for card. We looked at this earlier. Or is this what you said you went 0-5? And this doesn't look any different from what Bishark had. Bishark was on 4 Force Negation in the main and 3 Spreading Seas. Identical 75. Now the deck is definitely worth more than 0-5 because I went 3-2. Bishark went 3-2. Apparently Merfolk Joe went 3-2 with very similar-ish lists. But because we talked about this a little bit earlier, the crux of this deck is that it's clunky. So I can definitely see this deck getting completely run over on the earlier turns of the game. And maybe I should just talk a little bit about my philosophy on Merfolk right now. because I noticed after I started like I never really paid attention to what games I was winning when I was winning with Merfolk. I would win. It's just a troll. It's not a troll list. This could be a real list one day. I was never really paying attention to when I win game, like how often do I win game 1, how often do I win game 2, and then as I was publishing my results on Twitter, I realized I'm losing game 1 very often. Like if I win a match, it's because I win games 2 and 3, and I almost never win the first 2 games. And made me realize like very often my game is too clunky game 1, and I get like beat out by a faster deck, which is why I found I've had now a very big shift or change with a huge change with Simic Merfolk. I am winning more game 1s. I'm getting more 2-0s, like winning 2-0. And I definitely side out Kamena Speaker, the early 1-drop, way more, very often, because the game is less about speed in games 2 and 3, and it's more about attrition. It's more about power, because people are siding into more powerful spells, and I have to deal with those powerful spells with powerful interaction and just try to win with Lords. But the point is, that is a plan for game 2, but that's not a plan for game 1, because game 1 is a race against a lot of decks, and in order to win that race, I'm winning way more often with Kamena Speaker. So that is, even with mono blue, do I still have my deck list up? Even with mono blue, I would be more comfortable if I have a 1-drop like Benthic Biomancer in my deck. So I have more opportunities of racing my opponent in game 1, because that is the plan more or less in game 1. There's going to be too many games where you need to have like turn 1-drop into 2-drop into 3-drop into like the Lords, and just curve out and beat your opponent. And games 2 and 3, you can go the interaction route, and you take out the Benthic Biomancer. But Benthic Biomancer or any sort of random 1-drop does play a role to helping the win rate of Merfolk in game 1. So anyway, just throwing that out there. This is my current philosophy on Merfolk in 2019, and maybe this is just how I'm going to like play Merfolk going into 2020 and into the future. Merfolk should have either a 1-drop creature or sufficient interaction, very cheap interaction, early on in the game to compete with other people's interaction, because it's more or less a race in game 1, and games 2 and 3 becomes much more heavy on the interaction. And maybe other archetypes can speak to this as well. I'm not sure, but this is how I feel. This is how I feel like I've improved my win rate with Merfolk in 2020. All right, that's it for Coffee and MTG. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. And before I let you all go, let me know who you raid for today. Maybe the Chief, if he's playing, if he's streaming right now. But I'll leave the option to everybody else. But we had a great conversation. We actually talked a lot about coffee today. Talked a lot about coffee on Coffee and MTG. We have Aspiring Spike. All right, let's go. No gameplay stream today? No, not on Fridays. Only on Mondays and Wednesdays. Maybe I'll throw something in. You know what? Maybe I'll stream later today. I have some stuff to do today, but maybe I'll stream today. It's a Nikachu morning show. That's right. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for showing up today. I really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun, and I'll see you at the next cup. And hold on, let me get the raid set up. The raid channel, Aspiring Spike. Let's. I always believe in. We'll get the rich. The rich are going to get richer here. I didn't select them. Start raid. Something went wrong. Okay, I'll just end the stream and then we'll have a raid. So thank you very much, everyone. See you next time. And if you aren't rated within like 20 seconds, then just assume something wrong happened, because I'm getting an error from Twitch. But I'll talk to you.